It was time to put out the dumpster fire. R.J. Umberger got bought out by Ron Hextall. I guess it was about time. Caleb Weiler's here, as is Brian Wright. It's time to talk some Flyers hockey. It's been a while since you guys have been on the show, but Umberger, he's out. What do you guys think?
Thank the Lord, Umberger is finally out of here. Really, he's a nice guy and everything, but there's no place for him on the team. We have a lot of young guys that are going to be coming up, and this buyout is definitely going to give us a good place to bring up some young talent and save some cap space.
It comes down to cutting dead weight, and as Caleb said, this team is progressing forward despite the fact that they crashed out against the much better Capitals. You have the young guys coming up, and Umberger was 34 years old. He only managed to play in 39 games this year, and he only managed 2 goals and 9 assists for 11 points with a +1 rating. Not good enough. So, an obvious move, an obvious choice, and the right move by Ron Hextall.
$4.6 million cap hit. Now the Flyers are going to save $3 million by buying him out. They're going to have to absorb $1.6 million of cap space for Umberger this season. Another 1.5 cap hit for 2017 and 18. So, they're going to save some money out of this. He's a guy that didn't even play the 23 of the last 24 games. So, obviously, just to kind of lament a little bit further, a move that they had to make.
Yeah, without a doubt. Really looking forward for this team. We're trying to get rid of those monstrosity cap hits. You know, you have Voracek signed long-term. You have Giroux signed long-term. Simmons is signed to a pretty friendly team contract. But we still have to sign Gostisbehere coming out of his rookie deal in a few years. Braden Schen's going to get a huge raise this year. And then Gudis is also a restricted free agent, so he's going to get a bit of a pay raise too. So buying him out is definitely going to be good in the short term and the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. There's really not too many more things I can add to that point. This is a move that had to be made. As we said, this is a young team. He was 34. He was not productive, and it's the right move. And hopefully they can make some inroads with some of the younger guys that need to come up. Especially, like you said, you need to get Gostisbehere signed. Braden Schenn is going to get a massive raise after his breakout season, and you need to save as much money as you can for those guys.
Yeah, Sexy Hexy. He's been making a lot of great moves so far, but this one, it wasn't so great. Scott Hartnell for R.J. Umberger. But, hey, I know Caleb liked this move, so let's let him talk about it. This was the first move made by Hextall, and, yeah, let's talk about it. You're the hockey expert.
Yeah, well, at first people definitely hated that move, and the more I thought about it, I was like, this is a great move, actually, because Voracek's contract is going to kick into gear next year. Schen's going to get a new contract and go into gear next year. And so I obviously disagree with you because I thought this move was a great move to make. There's just a lot of things going on with the youngness of the Flyers and having that burden of a contract on the cap hit, especially when the Canadian dollar really isn't doing well right now, so the cap is kind of staying flat, which is not good for the Flyers because they're really always pushing up against it. So this will give them a little bit of relief moving forward.
Certainly. Yeah, and like you said, you agree with that move now. When that trade was first made, I was on the other side of the fence. I wasn't looking at it from a long-term cap-friendly, business move. I just looked at it as an on-the-ice move. Why would we need to do that? We already had R.J. Umberger before. He was fairly productive. Now he's older, and you traded away one of your better slot players and a fan favorite in Scott Hartnell for a guy that, quite frankly, was rather average. But fast forward to now, and despite the fact that he wasn't productive this year, it works out better for the Flyers in the long run.
Now, if you look at the 2 years since the deal, Hartnell, 51 goals, 109 points. Umberger, 11 goals, 26 points. This year, only 11 points overall. But yeah, an interesting little nugget you were talking about before the show. Now, the Columbus Blue Jackets, they're trying to shop Hartnell, and nobody wants him.
Yeah, nobody wants that albatross of a contract. Obviously, he's playing better, but you can see he's starting to come off a little bit. I believe he has 3 years left on his deal at $4.75 million. That is a huge hit to have to handle, and he might be putting up those points, but he's not really making the Blue Jackets better. They didn't make the playoffs this year. So that's a contract that they're trying to get rid of because they're going to have to re-sign their young decor and Seth Jones, and I'm sure a couple other players like Ryan Murray are going to have to get re-signed over there. So they have a long road ahead of them too. So that contract is going to be hard to move, and I'm glad we moved it. And Hextall had the foresight to see that shopping Hartnell now would give you not a return at all, as opposed to shopping him before and being able to get rid of Umberger at the same time.
Absolutely. This is why he's the GM, and we're sitting here talking about it, right? Because we don't have the kind of foresight that he has. I love Scott Hartnell when he was here, but that huge contract, like you said, is going to causing a big problem for the Blue Jackets down the line. So good luck to them.
Is he still with Sheeta Parveen? I still want to know how the hell that happened. I mean, she's a smoke bomb, and he's like a D-.
It's all about personality.
It has to be. If that, I remember reading about that whenever that took place, and that was the only thing I could think of. Was like this doesn't really match up. There's got to be something about Scott Hartnell that none of us know.
Well,
must be his personality, right?
Definitely his personality.
I'm thinking about another word that starts with a P. I'm not talking about Penguins. Oh man, Penguins! They won the Stanley Cup. Oh, I was correct though. I'm a genius. Oh my God, they won.
Yeah, genius isn't the word I would use, but
Lucky guess.
But I couldn't even watch that game. I watched the first period, and you could tell the Sharks just weren't going to win that game. I turned it off. I will not watch the Penguins lift the Stanley Cup. Now, I do like Phil Kessel, and I'm glad he won the Stanley Cup, but I wish it would have been on another team other than the Penguins. I think I threw up at least 5 times then.
Yeah, I did not watch a ton of the finals. I watched plenty of it. I certainly didn't watch the Penguins lift the cup, but as much as we hate them West Side Pennsylvania guys over there while we're here, you can't say they didn't earn it. They were certainly the better team.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they came in hot into the postseason, whipped us a couple times, but God damn it, man, Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, and of course he's got to win the Conn Smythe Trophy on top of that to just rub salt in the wound a little bit deeper.
Yeah, he didn't even score in the finals.
Yeah, which he didn't deserve, by the way. It should have been Kessel.
Yes, it should have been Kessel, but thank you, Gary Bettman.
Who likes Bettman anyway? No one.
Oh, man. Penguins won the Stanley Cup. All right. We forgot to talk about this. Most memorable part of R.J. Umberger's short little stint here in Philadelphia. What do you guys think?
So, a few years back, I was at a Flyers game, and Umberger had made an awful play, like normal, in the offensive zone. And the guy behind me goes, "Umberger, you're a dumpster fire!" And then he proceeded to score a goal in like 10 seconds. So it was good to see that happen. It's like he heard him and then wanted to rub a little salt in the wound and scored a pretty sick backhanded top shelf goal. So that's my favorite Umberger memory.
Yeah, and as we talked about off the stream here, my most memorable R.J. Umberger moment is him getting with his head down, Lindros style, and getting laid out in that playoff series by Tim Connolly of the Sabres. I still have a vivid recollection of his head slamming in the ice as he got leveled and barely got up.
All right. That's about, pretty much it here for Umberger. We weren't going to spend a lot of time on this. Plus, the United States is about to get on. So, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Final thoughts. I think we have about 100 days until Flyers hockey. So I'm setting my calendar, 8 days until the draft. And, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do for only the Phillies over the summer. So it's going to be a long summer.
It could be a long summer. There are positives, though. The Union are still in first place. Can go so.
The Union, there you go.
Nice little plug.
They just lost their best player, but they're still in first place. Go USA! And by the way, NHL in Las Vegas? Question mark. I'm still trying to wrap my brain around that one.
Actually, yeah. Before we head out, let's get your guys' thoughts on that. What do you guys think? Las Vegas has a hockey team. Everybody's going to want to go to that team. Who doesn't want to go to Vegas?
Yeah, I actually love it. The expansion draft coming up. Hopefully, we can get rid of an albatross contract like a Andrew McDonald or someone else that we really don't want on the team anymore, maybe a Matt Reed, somebody else who we don't want on the team. I think it's going to be a good destination for those players who get drafted onto that team, though. So I like the move. I think they're going to get a lot of maybe not so much home fans, but a lot of tourist fans who are looking for something to do other than a grade D, show in Las Vegas.
I don't know. I'm sure it'll do fine initially. If I've read correctly, the name of the team is going to be the Las Vegas Black Knights, which is kind of odd. And it'll do fine from a novelty perspective for a little while, and you'll have a lot of other teams' fans coming in. Like when Toronto's there, you'll get plenty of Leafs fans. When the Flyers are there, you get plenty of Flyer fans. I feel like it'll take a little while for that team to build a true home ice advantage. But hell, for the players that get drafted there, that's going to be the time of their lives.
It'll be definitely be interesting. I do know from from the college basketball game, UNLV for instance, they've always drawn pretty well there. So maybe this happens too. We'll see. I mean, there's obviously some other markets that are kind of questionable, like Columbus, for instance.
Phoenix, Carolina.
Yeah, so it's not like this is the worst one.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Las Vegas has never had a true professional team unless you count the Outlaws of the XFL. So it'll be cool from a novelty standpoint, but come back 3 years later and see how they're doing.
Yeah. All right, that's it. It's about 9:30 now, so let's go USA. For Caleb, what's that?
USA.
There you go. For Caleb Weiler, Brian Wright, I'm Adrian Fedke. We're out. Later.
Later.